You're watching a barbell slide out of a rack in a quiet room that smells like effort and metal. This is the philosophical lifter. Hey guys, welcome to Strong with Raj, no nonsense strength training. While I'm doing the heavy lifting in the gym, I want to talk about one of the most radical, most misunderstood, and ultimately most liberating philosophies from ancient India, Ajivika. It's a school of thought that was a contemporary and fierce rival to early Buddhism and Jainism. Yet today, its voice is largely silent, lost to history, except through the writings of its opponents. But its core idea, its central doctrine, offers a profoundly unique perspective on our efforts, our outcomes, and our deepest sense of peace. The birth of absolute destiny. The Ajivika sect emerged in India around the 6th century BCE, a period often called the Shraman era. This was a time of immense intellectual ferment, a grand questioning of established traditions, including the authority of the Vedas and the existence of gods instead of faith. This era prized rational inquiry. And at the heart of the Ajivika movement was its key figure, a man named Makkhali Gosala. Gosala himself was a colorful and unconventional character. Born in a cowshed, which likely inspired part of his name, to a street entertainer, he knew a life outside the established norms. He was a contemporary and, for a time, even a traveling companion of Mahavira, the founder of Jainism. Their 6-year journey together and subsequent bitter philosophical split highlight the deep intellectual battlegrounds of the time Gosala would later claim to have attained supreme enlightenment and organize the Ajivikas into a distinct community, challenging the very foundations of causality and moral responsibility that his rivals were building upon. Unfortunately, the Ajivikas left no scriptures of their own. Our knowledge of them comes primarily from biased accounts in Buddhist and Jain texts, which often portray Gosala in a highly negative light, underscoring the intensity of their philosophical rivalry. Yet, even through these lenses, the radical clarity of the Ajivika doctrine shines through. Niyati, the unalterable rule. At the very heart of the Ajivika system is the philosophy of Niyati, a term meaning fate, destiny, or an unalterable cosmic rule. For the Ajivikas, Niyati was the sole, omnipotent force governing every single occurrence in the universe. Everything, from the smallest tremor of an atom to the grand sweep of history, from your first breath to your last rep under the bar, was already fixed, predetermined, and utterly unchangeable. They viewed time not as a linear journey with choices, but as a vast, intricate tapestry already woven. The past, present, and future held no real distinction. They simply were. This led to their most famous and controversial slogan, "Human effort is ineffectual." To illustrate this, they used a powerful analogy. Just as a ball of thread, once thrown, unrolls to its full predetermined length, so too does every living being follow its fixed path. There are no detours, no shortcuts, no sudden changes of direction. Every moment, every action, every outcome is simply an inevitable unfolding. This meant, quite profoundly, that there was no free will, and therefore no moral responsibility for anything a person did, whether it was considered good or evil by others. Niyati wasn't just some abstract cosmic force, it manifested directly in the individual through two unalterable categories. Bhav, the individual's inherent unchangeable nature, and Sanghati, the individual's unalterable environment. These two elements ensured that whatever an individual did or became was entirely predetermined. The radical rejection of karma. This absolute determinism presented a direct and fundamental challenge to the prevailing philosophical landscape of ancient India. For centuries, the doctrine of karma, the idea that one's actions, good or bad, generate consequences that shape one's future and rebirths, had been a cornerstone of Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain thought, but the Ajivikas flatly rejected it. They advanced two core ideas to dismantle the notion of karmic consequence: Ahetuvada, no cause. This meant events happened without any specific cause other than Niyati. There was no chain of cause and effect that originated from human choice. Akriyavada, no effect of action. This doctrine asserted that actions, whether virtuous or wicked, had no consequential moral result. Your deeds could not change your destiny. For the Ajivikas, you could not earn salvation or a better rebirth through effort, asceticism, or worship. Every soul, they taught, was locked into a fixed cycle of existence, wandering through an unimaginably vast number of Mahakalpas, long eras. 8.4 million of them to be precise. Only when this incredibly long, fixed duration was fulfilled would the soul automatically attain purity, samsara shuddhi, and be freed from the cycle, regardless of any personal efforts. Liberation, like everything else, was simply a matter of predetermined time. Their message, then, was radical, but offered a unique form of peace. Accept what is happening, for all is predetermined by fate. Transition to a visual of an Ajivika ascetic, perhaps meditating calmly amidst a harsh environment, or a simple image of calm water. The paradox of asceticism and the true meaning of peace. This brings us to the central, most fascinating paradox of the Ajivika philosophy. If human effort is futile, why did Ajivika ascetics practice such extreme forms of austerity? Tapasya. They were known for enduring intense physical pain, sleeping on beds of thorns, performing swinging penance, or exposing themselves to burning sun and freezing nights in solitary forests. They were strict practitioners of ahimsa, non-violence, and total nudity, digambara, believing it fostered complete indifference to physical sensations. When confronted with this contradiction by their rivals, their answer was profoundly consistent with their doctrine. We practice asceticism because it is our niyati to do so. Their austerities were not a means to an end. They were not an attempt to change their fate or earn merit. Instead, these actions were simply the predetermined unfolding of their individual destiny. It was their fate to live this way. This perspective suggests that their asceticism was a way to achieve a profound inner peace and stability, not by altering destiny, but by completely accepting it. By letting go of the illusion of control and the attachment to outcomes, they found liberation in the very act of living out their preordained path, decline and enduring legacy. Despite its radical nature, the Ajivika sect was a significant force in ancient India. It saw its best period during the Mauryan Empire, finding patronage from emperors like Bindusara, father of Ashoka, and later his grandson Dasharatha Ashoka famously gifted them the Barabar caves, the oldest surviving rock-cut caves in India, providing tangible historical proof of their prominence and respectability. They were, for centuries, the third largest Shraman sect, finding support among artisan and merchant classes. However, after the collapse of the Mauryan Empire, the Ajivikas largely disappeared from northern India. They maintained a presence in southern India, particularly in regions like Cholamandalam, surviving until the 14th century. But there, they faced severe oppression and persecution, including extreme taxes imposed by local kings. By the end of the 14th century, the sect was absorbed into the larger stream of Vaishnavism, a consequence of the rising Bhakti movement, leading to its eventual extinction as a distinct religion. Ajivika, under the bar, finding peace in the unyielding path. So, what does this ancient, uncompromising doctrine of destiny offer us? The modern lifter under the bar? If human effort is ineffectual, why do we bother? The Ajivikas offer us not a path to greater numbers, but a radical path to peace in the process. Release from outcome anxiety. For many lifters, the heaviest weight is not the barbell, but the anxiety of performance. The fear of missing a lift, the pressure to hit a personal best, the frustration when progress stalls. The Ajivika doctrine strips all that away. If your lift, your progress, your ultimate strength, if all of it is predetermined, then the anxiety about the outcome becomes illogical. Your job is not to control the outcome, but to perform the action that is your Niyati. This allows for a profound mental liberation. The move for today. When you approach your heaviest set, visualize the ball of thread unrolling. Acknowledge that the outcome of this specific lift is already set. Your only task is to calmly execute the rep that is unfolding through you. Let go of the desire for a specific result and simply be the action. The peace you gain from this surrender can make the rep feel smoother, lighter, or at the very least, less mentally draining. The pure act of training. The paradox of Ajivika ascetics. Enduring extreme hardship because it was their niyati to do so is incredibly powerful for a lifter. It reframes why we train. We don't train to achieve something, but because training is an inherent part of who we are. It is our nature. The struggle, the effort, the satisfaction. It's all part of the predetermined journey. The move for today. Treat your training, especially your most challenging sets, as a pure, unadulterated act. Don't frame it as a means to a bigger total, a better physique, or validation from others. Instead, recognize that the act of lifting itself is your destiny manifesting. You are under the bar because that is what is meant to happen right now. Find stability and quiet pride in simply performing the movement, divorced from all attachment to future consequences or past expectations. This perspective can make every single session, regardless of the numbers, a profound and peaceful experience. The Ajivika philosophy offers a radical perspective. It challenges the very idea that our effort matters in changing our fate, yet it grants us a profound peace through acceptance. Under the bar. It's not about making the numbers move. It's about making peace with the numbers that move. It's not about what you did, but simply what was. If this unyielding path resonated with you, tell me one thing you'll release control of this week in your training. And if you want another philosophy next, the Tao of Strength, or duty without attachment, say the word no nonsense, just results.